as we gather together to celebrate the festival of Purim, we remember how the Jews of ancient Persia were saved from Haman's cruel plot. I have my grogger. In many lands and ages, Hamans have risen up against us, and we have had to face prejudice and slander, hatred and oppression. But we have remained firm in our belief that in the end, good will triumph over evil and love over hate. In the midst of our joy, we give thought to any of our fellow Jews who may have been endangered. May we and all Jews everywhere who share with us a common past and destiny have the wisdom and resolve to support them in their struggle. And may we not rest until their hopes have been fulfilled. We think also of our people in the state of Israel. May we always dare to hope that in our day, the tragic isolation will end and that all the displaced, Arab and Jew, will be rooted again, that Israel and her neighbors will touch hands in peace. We'll say the blessings for our Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, adding holiness to our lives through mitzvot and commanding us to read the Megillah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who made miracles for our ancestors in their days in this season. And let's all join together in Shehachianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you, God, for bringing us to this moment and this season where we can enjoy together. I'm going to ask Rabbi Agler, we're doing this Megillah that we used to read a long time ago, and I can still hear you reading the women's parts. So I would be most grateful if you would do that for us. Okay?
Go for it. Let's go for it.
Now it happened that Ahasuerus, king of Persia, hosted the grandest party the empire had ever witnessed. The king summoned Vashti that his subjects might behold the beauty of the queen. But the queen sent word that she would not appear. The king grew enraged and decreed there was a vacancy in the royal house. The streets of Shushan were electric with excitement. Vashti gone, new queen to be chosen for the king.
When you're a Jew all the way from your naming or briskas to God we obey. When you're a Jew, you can stand up with pride. You got Amcha around, there's no reason to hide. With Persians around, stay out of certain places. If tourist comes round, we don't take no disgraces. We're in their faces with vitamin Kuf and with vitamin J. They may think we're aloof, but we are here to stay. When you're a Jew, you stay a Jew.
Now there lived in Shushan a certain man named Mordecai. He served the king well, remaining faithful to God of his ancestors. Mordecai had a cousin, Hadassah, though friends called her by her Persian name, Esther. When Esther's parents died, Mordecai took her in, a young cousin, into his heart. He cared for her as if she was his own. The girl grew, and she was very beautiful.
When you're a Jew, you face east when you pray, but in Persia it's west, still it's 3 times a day. When you're a Jew, we can take what you fling. We have been through it all, just watch out for the king. The Jews are all here, we're taking care of business. It's all very clear. They'll always try to test us, but God has blessed us. We are the Jews, we walk through the Red Sea. You ain't gonna get us, I'm for you, you're for me. We are the Jews, we were slaves, now we're not, always keeping our cool. When the going gets hot, today things are fine. but keep yourself protected. There may come a time when it's the unexpected and we're selected. We are the Jews, yeah, and we're flying high, so you better watch out, 'cause I'm Yisrael Chai. Better watch out. Yisrael Chai.
Now, it came to pass that one day Esther headed for the king's court to dine with Mordecai. And when the guard saw her, he knew at once that the king's search for the new queen had ended. She was whisked into the king's chambers, and Ahasuerus commanded that she be set upon the throne as his wife. After these things, the king appointed himself a new prime minister, Haman, the son of Hamdata. He was second only to the king, and the new premier found much favor in the eyes of the king. When he entered the palace gates, all bowed low before him, all that is but Mordecai. And when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow, he became angry, and he sped to the royal chambers to seek the presence of the king. Haman said, "My lord, these Jews are not like other subjects of the king. Their customs are different. They don't even keep the king's laws." And as Haman left king's presence, he thought to himself,
"If I had a small kingdom, if I were the king here, all day long they'd bow and kiss my ring. If I were the Persian king, all would run to praise me. If I had a nitty bitty crown, diddle crown, I'd have a great big palace with servants by the dozen right in the middle of the town. Robes and rings and gold dropping from my hands. There would be one tall gallows just for the Jews, another one also for the Jews, and maybe one for people I don't know. I'll fill my yard with guards and knights and flags and ladies for the town to see and hear, praising me as loudly as they can. And each loud cry of my famous name will land like a trumpet on the ear, as if to say, here lives a Persian king. Oh, if I were the king here, all day long they'd bow and kiss my ring. If I were the Persian king, all would run to praise me. If I had an itty bitty crown, diddle crown, I see my wife, my Zeresh, looking like a good king's wife with her nasty little smile, supervising meals to her heart's delight. I see her putting on airs and strutting like a peacock. Oh, what a happy mood she's in. Screaming at the servants day and night. The most important men in town will have to bow to me. They will ask me to take bribes from them to spare their lives. If you please, dear Haman, pardon me, King Haman, but I will kill them in contempt. Jews I despise, And it won't make one bit of difference to me if they live or die. When you're king, who cares? You are in charge. If I were king, I'd have some time to spend to order little people all around. As I sit on the throne by the palace wall, and I destroy good every day. This would be the sweetest thing of all. All day long they'd bow and kiss my ring. If I were the Persian king, I would put to praise me. Marduk, who made the lion and the lamb, you would decree I should be what I am. Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were the king?
All the men, and maybe I could ask Linda Riegelhaupt if you would read the men's part. That would be fun.
Okay. And what would you have us do with these people?
Haman replied, if it pleases the king, let it be decreed that they be killed, all of them, and I shall gladly reimburse the treasury for the loss of their taxes. Shall we say 10,000 talents of silver for these Jews?
A reasonable request and more than reasonable compensation. But what, after all, is silver to the royal house? Our treasury already bursts with coin. The Jews are yours. Do with them whatever you wish.
As Mordecai headed for the court, he heard people saying, imagine, a Jewess for a queen. What shall we have next? A Jew for a prime minister as well? What is it with these Jews? You see them everywhere, even among the king's own magistrates. Just yesterday, I heard that some Jews refused to bow before the prime minister. And now that our king has a Jew for a queen, we shall see more of this. The king betrays our people. Perhaps he has already outlived his usefulness. Perhaps we would do well to have a new king, a Persian king, to rule us. Mordecai had heard enough. His footsteps hastened across the royal gardens towards the king's chambers. He knew that he must report what he had heard, and he knew that his report would be given immediate action. He accelerated his pace and hurried toward the royal palace.
The VIP I was around the Capitol, and then he comes out with this crazy law. He said it's time to bow or shut your traps, y'all. Who'd have thunk that we'd have ever saw? I'm seeing all our people bowing down to him every time I go and take a walk. We only bow to God, not a man who thinks he is. Time for us to do much more and talk. What next? What next? Here in Shushan, it's getting nitty gritty. We gone about as far as we could go. Just 'cause he's got the king thinking something's wrong with us. But sadly, he's too drunk and he don't know. Here in Shushan, it's getting nitty gritty. The Persians think we want to overthrow. We've always been so loyal to the kingdom that we're in. It really don't help nothing that they're trying to make us in. When it's good for us and good for them, then everybody wins. We've gone about as far as we can go. Yes, sir! We've gone about as far as we can go.
In the meantime, Haman was busy preparing proclamations. His first official act was getting rid of the Jews, and he was delighted. One small detail troubled him, the Jew Mordecai. Something special would have to be arranged. Then an idea struck: a public hanging.
We've gone about as far as we can go. We've gone about as far as we can go. Here in Shushan, it's getting nitty gritty. We've gone about as far as we can go. Our people has survived so much turmoil and despair by making sure we stand up and say no. I'll go to my cousin Esther, who's the queen now, see if she can turn the king around. This ain't a real democracy with freedom of the press. Only she can save us now that we're in distress. Ain't no time to fool around. We're talking life or death. He's gone about as far as he can go. Yes, sir. He's gone about as far as he can go.
It was shortly after the morning session of court began that the proclamations were posted. Death to the Jews of Persia. On the 13th of the month of Adar, every Jewish man, woman, and child shall be put to death. The shock drove Mordecai back against the palace walls. There was no time to lose. Perhaps all was already lost. He hurried to get word to Esther. If anyone could help, surely the new queen could. Mordecai began to run, and for the first time, he became aware that he was frightened. He stopped at the entrance to the royal harem and hastily handed the guard a note. Inside the palace, Esther sat motionless, a copy of the proclamation in one hand, Mordecai's note in the other. Death to the Jews. The words brought pain. Esther knew that whoever appeared before the king, except by his order, could be put to death. But she sent the following message to Mordecai.
Gather the community, have them fast and pray for me. I will see the king and do whatever I can. If I perish, so be it. Ask God's help.
And so Esther went to the king and received permission to have a royal banquet in honor of Haman. That night, the king couldn't sleep. It wasn't so much the report of the plot against him. Conspiracy was commonplace in Shushan. What disturbed the king was that Mordecai, a loyal magistrate, had gone unrewarded without as much as a royal thank you. As the king contemplated this matter, Haman rushed into the room, breathless and excited.
Mr. Prime Minister, you're just the man. We need your advice in a matter. There has been a serious oversight. A man, a very loyal and diligent man, has been allowed to remain in our service without proper recognition. Now, we should like to thank him fittingly, even lavishly. How would you advise we honor such a man?
For the moment, Haman could no longer see Mordecai dangling before him. He tingled with joy, as if his recent appointment were not enough. Now this, some new and splendid honor, something lavish. He was overwhelmed. Tears began to gather in his beady eyes. He collected his thoughts, seeing himself all the while in every word. Then he said to the king, "Well, now, your majesty, I would have the man robed in royal vestments, but only those which the king himself had worn, and I would mount him upon one of the royal stallions, but only one that the king himself had ridden. And I would have someone especially close to the king, one of his ministers, perhaps, parade the man through every street and boulevard, proclaiming as he went, 'Thus is done to the man whom it pleases the king to honor.'"
Excellent, Mr. Prime Minister, excellent. Now, hasten, secure the stallion and the robes and all else that is necessary, and do what you have just described to Mordecai.
Haman was shocked. Surely the king had made a mistake. Mordecai, the Jew?
Yes, go at once, and let there be no delay. Nothing in all the empire is more important than this, and it should receive your most personal attention. And when you are done with the details of this parade, arrange a banquet in your own honor for tomorrow night to celebrate your recent elevation.
So Haman left the palace. That night, everyone gathered in the royal banquet hall. The guest of honor was glum. However, and there was little conversation, only the clatter of dinnerware against imperial china. Someone mentioned the parade that day. Silence. Just about everyone in Shushan had come out. More silence. The king sensed that it was not a good topic, but it would have to do.
And was our friend pleased with his reception?
Our friend, said Haman. Oh, yes, the Jew. He was pleased, my lord.
But you do not sound pleased, my good Haman. Was the parade not to your liking?
And Haman apologized to the queen. You'll have to forgive me, your majesty. My feet are killing me. Tomorrow I'll be lucky to have a voice left. I trudged through every street and boulevard in the capital today, attached to the reins of a horse, while the Jew sat on a royal stallion, smiling at his admirers.
It would appear that you dislike these Jews.
But your majesty, Haman protested, I don't dislike the Jews. In fact, I try not to think about them.
Then why is it, good sir, that you wish us all dead? Is this not your proclamation? Death to the Jews of Persia? On the 13th day of the month of Adar, every Jewish man, woman, and child shall be put to death and their property confiscated? Now that hardly sounds like an edict of tolerance.
Ahasuerus was puzzled, and he asked Esther to explain.
It says here in this Tanakh, the God-fearing individual acting as a queen due to a tough situation may react with blessing in the kishkes, difficult to endure down in the lower gastrointestinal tract. In other words, just for draining the cup to go to the king or not, a maidel can get put on the spot. You can tell her from morning to night about what the rabbis say. Teach her to be a hero so she can go save the day. But when everything's all said and done in the Torah, she's gotta pray. So maidel, are you hero or not? Now, it says right here, a tatel of quinin, just in the Jewish sense, feels when she is in danger. See note. Note. Historical anti-Semite, raging and insecure, seeking to put a noose around our throat. In other words, when being the queen is not everything that she dreamt, a maidel can start feeling verklempt. You can feed her all day with knedelig and the daima stuffed, but she just doesn't have the koyach, cause she's not so tough. The situation's verkakte and the game is rough. A maidel can start feeling verdreht. And furthermore, just for waiting and waiting and waiting to go to the king, a maidel can give up her ring. When she enters the king's private quarters to tell him about what's new, the evil that Haman is plotting, that he must pursue. And she's not taking no for an answer because she's a Jew. A maidel is stopping a crime, and just in the nick of time, with the shrying, I am dying. Thank God I'm still in my prime. Since it is destiny calling, I'll speak with integrity. This maidel will go down in history.
My lord, I am a Jew. My people are the household of Israel, your loyal subjects. The magistrate whom you honor today, Mordecai, is my cousin. He was to be hanged this morning on a public gallows, but the parade, thank God, intervened. And this guest of honor, who toasts the welfare of the empire, has decreed that its loyal subjects be murdered. Haman is responsible.
And so the king ordered the guards to take Haman and hang him on the gallows that he himself had prepared for Mordecai. And then he ordered that the evil decree against the Jews be canceled. And he said to Esther,
Hey, Mr. Big Shot Haman, you're really gonna lose. No matter what you're saying, we're still the faithful Jews. We'll beat you in the palace, we'll get you in the street. With a God, you never will compete. Hey, Minister Haman, enough with the threat. We ain't met anyone who's got the best of us yet. You won't be the first one, no way and no how. We are the Jews and we don't bow. We don't bow, we don't bow, we don't bow. Torah don't allow. Only to our God we bend and bow.
Don't get too big for your britches.
My britches ain't too big.
Well, let's ask the tailor.
Now, let me tell you, Taylor, I won't take Haman's stuff. He's always giving orders, and now it's getting rough. I gotta hide my tzitzit, it makes my mother sad. Golly Moses, that's why I'm so mad. Tell Minister Haman to loosen his tie. Nobody likes to hang around with that kind of guy. The robe that he's wearing, it really don't fit. And even worse, it's poorly knit. Poorly knit, poorly knit, poorly knit. It's so poorly knit. Yeah, the robe he's wearing just don't fit.
Yeah, I hear what he's saying, but I don't know if it's kosher.
Is it kosher? Well, who would know if it's kosher?
Well, let's ask the butcher.
This Haman guy is trouble. It's getting out of hand. He's gonna burst our bubble. We gotta take a stand. He's gonna cook our brisket. He's gonna cook our goose. Let that pot roast stew in his own juice. Oh, Minister Haman's improperly cured. From what you told me here, his kashrut can't be assured. If he's the mashgiach, the kitchen's not safe. Sound the alarm that this is trafe, 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 this is halacha ke'eli trafe.
I never heard such crazy stories. Who knows more about stories than anybody else?
The Yenta knows about stories.
So let's take him to the Yenta.
Please help me, Lady Yenta. This Haman is a crook. I asked my cousin Nesta. She said, don't be a schnook. You're always telling stories, so come on, tell us quick. We can't stand this Haman and his shtick. This Haman's inordinate, and everyone knows. I wouldn't be a matchmaker for this kind of schmo. Don't worry about Haman, his head's made of wood. Take it from Yenta, he's no good. He's no good. He's no good. He's no good. He's no stinking good. If the Yenta said it, he's no good. The trouble, he don't dress right. The trouble is he's strafe. The trouble is he backbites. The trouble's we ain't safe. The trouble, he's a bad guy. The trouble is he's white. Send him packing, lying in a heist. Oh, Minister Haman, we won't acquiesce. Jews got a lot of practice with this kind of distress. Gee, Minister Haman, you're really bad news. Hey, Minister Haman, you'll lose.
Fear no more for your people's safety. No harm shall befall them. They may always call this land their home, and here they will know peace.
and so in the reign of King Ahasuerus, messengers went forth, and the Jews through the empire were saved on that very day. It had been decreed that they would be killed. And there was rejoicing in every community with prayers of thanksgiving and praise for Mordecai and Esther. There is an unreality to things that happened so long ago. Did they really happen? And if so, do they hold any meaning for us? And might they happen again? Achashverosh so long ago, Shushan so far away, Haman so unreal a villain, Mordecai and Esther so unlikely a hero and heroine. Yet for all the Hamans in our midst, we still fail to recognize them in time. They always seem so unreal and harmless. Only when we behold the bold, stark letters of the decree do we believe in the possibility of rising to heroism, even from such unlikely heroes as we. Unhappy, the people who still need heroes. Unhappy are still the people who have no heroes. There is evil alive in the world today, and when we defeat it, we should celebrate. Let's join together in our closing song to the tune of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Loyadas a parade they hold in Tel Aviv. The people having so much fun don't know to stay or leave. Such a joyous holiday that comes but once a year. Esther and Mordechai, that means it's time to cheer. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shachmanis. When we hear these words, we know that Purim is upon us. It's the time to celebrate because we are victorious. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shachmanis. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Hamantash and happy corners, just like Haman's hat. Fill them up with Bunamon, forget about the fat. Find them in all flavors at your favorite bakery. Nashis cookies, all they make Hamana mockery. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis. When we hear these words, we know that Purim is upon us. It's the time to celebrate because we are victorious. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Megillah is the ancient scroll we read as it's unrolled. We chant and learn our history, each year it is retold. Shlachmanis are the gifts we send to celebrate our joy, with tzedakah for those in need from every girl and boy. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis. When we hear these words, we know that Purim is upon us. It's the time to celebrate because we are victorious. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Hapanisha, rush, rush, rush. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis. When we hear these words, we know that Purim is upon us. It's the time to celebrate because we are victorious. Ad Loyada, Hamantash, and Megillah Shlachmanis.